2, 1, punch.
I threw myself off a bridge in Zambia, got charged by elephants in Botswana, and flipped upside down in crocodile-infested rapids in Zimbabwe. And the most dangerous thing I did? A round of golf. After the most memorable, heartwarming 2 weeks in East Africa, it was time for a bit more adventure. My last flight to Uganda had a free upgrade, but I had to face the sad reality of being back where I belong. Cattle class. Though, due to buying so many bloody flights for this trip, I'd earned myself a free airport lounge pass, which was more than good enough for me.
Skip them. Load of croissants.
What a time to be alive. Frustratingly, the cheapest flight from Rwanda involved a stop off in Uganda without leaving the plane for a pickup on the way to Ethiopia, the complete opposite direction of my next destination, Victoria Falls. 2.5 hours in the wrong direction before a 5-hour flight back over those countries, eventually landing in Livingstone, Zimbabwe, country number 63. The Kasa visa on arrival was straightforward enough, $50, and it covered any ventures across the border into Zambia and day trips to Botswana. We jumped in a taxi and the driver provided us with a tourist menu, displaying the plethora of activities available here. Enough to light up the eyes of anyone searching for a bit of adventure and the desire for adrenaline rushing through the veins. Once again, myself and Casey differed in both budget and comfort needs, so we dropped him off at his smart hotel, the Drift Inn. We soon found out this was named so as it literally on the first road outside of the national park, and the wild animals are known to drift into town this way. On redirecting to my hostel, I had the usual back and forth with the taxi driver. Is it safe to walk around here, mate? No. Certainly not at night. If you cross a hippo or buffalo in the dark, then there's a high chance you'll end up dead. And sightings are very common. Not the typical answer when asking if it's safe, but merely added to the excitement and drama. This is what it's all about. As for me, I checked into my cosy dorm room where, as is often the case, you meet some lovely like-minded people. Time to chill out and enjoy my first bottle of Zambezi. Beautiful. The evening brought a rather typical torrential downpour that often renders the town electricity free, but tonight we were in luck. We headed out to a local traditional restaurant which was buzzing with natives and tourists. Among the menu items were crocodile, stewed cowhead and zebra, all of which were rather niche, but it was the drinks menu that took my breath away.
What a gem of a beer, Carling Black Label.
For English drinkers of a certain age, the appearance of Carling Black Label on the menu was a sight to behold. One of the most famous TV adverts from my youth, but sales was stopped in the UK before I reached drinking age. To see it sold here was a real blast from the past. I bloody love Africa. Morning came and it was time to hit the sights. I'd met the delightful Della in the hostel, so she joined myself and Casey to head to Victoria Falls itself. The national park that attracts approximately 2 million people to this part of the world every year. 108 metres high and 1,708 metres wide. It's one of the biggest waterfalls in the world by any metric. It can reach a flow of up to 12,600 cubic metres per second at peak. Yeah, same for me. No idea how much that is, but it sounds like a lot. But sadly, what it can reach is different to what it did reach that day. Unfortunately for Zimbabwe in general, the wet season hadn't delivered the rain they desired. So, as well as causing issues for farmers, it meant that the flow over the top of the falls was well below what we'd hoped. The poetic irony was that it was raining that day, but given the scale of the river, it's more about what happened 2 months ago upstream in Angola and Zambia. Así es la vida. You can't win them all. I've been blessed to see Iguazu Falls in Brazil, and sadly this fell way short as a spectacle due to unfortunate timing. It is what it is. Between February and May will give you the most dramatic sights, and always worth researching before you visit. Regardless, it was good crack, and the lower levels meant we could witness the drama of Devil's Pool from across the other side. A high-risk scenario where you are tantalisingly hovered over the top of the falls. One that, if prepared to take the chance, will get you an amazing Instagram photo. By all accounts, a thrilling experience and safely managed. Sort of. One positive was an early sight of the aptly named Victoria Falls Bridge, which was the location of a potential bungee jump in the coming days. Let's see. Returning to the tourist menu, I happened across Zambezi Sunset Boat Cruise. Unlimited alcohol. I'm in. I can't quite recall the cost, but who cares? Could be $1,000, but you put unlimited alcohol in there, and somehow it feels like a bargain. Boarding the boat, there was a lovely late afternoon sunshine. T-shirt weather without the intense heat that you can get in this part of the world. As we crossed the wooden walkway, we could already see a hippo immediately across the river. Tonight was going to be a good night. We found a table with a couple of delightful German ladies and placed our orders. $2 Zambezis weren't going to help me get my money's worth, and the mood really suited a glass of white wine. And another. And, due to the efficiency of the boat crew, another and another. I had the giddiness levels akin to the first day of a stag do. Wonderful company, great vibes, and an incredible setting. The only downside of the trip was the insistence of the Russian tour group leader to interrupt the guide by repeating everything he said in Russian while we all waited patiently. Honestly, it was like the rest of us didn't even exist. Quite an interesting dynamic. Finally, they ran out of white wine. The only logical solution, I thought, or as I was soon to find out, the most illogical solution there is. "I'll take a red then, please, pal." And there ended my memory of the evening. I'm led to believe that night progressed with a visit to a pleasant restaurant with our newfound friends, one of our group, naming no names, falling asleep at the table. And to top it all off, an unsavoury incident of vomiting in the bathroom. Home by 10 PM, fine by midnight. When will I learn? Seemingly never, but I now know that mixing red and white wine is a no-no. Always educating myself. Gotta find the positives. Regardless, a trip that I would highly recommend. Now, getting blackout drunk wasn't the smartest move, but it wouldn't even crack the top 5 most reckless things I was going to do that week. I've solved it. We all search for meaning, purpose and truth. But, let's be honest, the question we all really care about is, how do you dodge a hangover? Start early and finish early. It really is that simple. I woke the next morning feeling surprisingly chirpy, but this continent can do that to you. Happy vibes and endless opportunities for entertainment. Sat round the breakfast table, we assessed our options. Helicopter over the falls, anyone? Sounds good to me. Just needed an outfit change for Della and we were ready to rock and roll. I was chucked in the front for weight distribution purposes. I'll take that as a compliment, and before we knew it, we were taking off with our legendary pilot Gibbs, a man who knew every hectare of the land below, consummately describing the breathtaking journey we were undertaking, dropping in little facts between the silences, allowing us to simply relax and enjoy the stunning views. It was a cracking experience, but I can't lie, there was still a feeling I was seeing an underperforming spectacle. Like going to the Bernabeu to watch a midweek Copa del Rey game against lower league opposition. You were in the right place, but you weren't quite getting full value. 30 minutes later, we were back on terra firma and done and dusted by lunchtime.
Woo! Am I the only one that like ducked? I did a little bit, yeah.
Anyone fancy popping to a new country? Sure, why not, eh? So, off we went. The taxi dropped us short of the bridge and we hopped over to country number 64, Zambia. I always said I'd never do a bungee jump until I spontaneously decided to join my buddies in Costa Rica many years ago. Of course with my good pal Casey. Once you've done one, the second didn't seem such a challenge. We grabbed a quick beer whilst waiting at the registration point and observed the owners catapulting stones at the cheeky monkeys. They were biding their time to jump on people's tables and escape with a burger in hand. Quite the entertainment. A pleasant distraction from the screaming, shrill cries coming from the bridge. Waiting over.
Ready, Case?
Time for myself and Case to suit up and get ready to throw ourselves off the bridge, 120 metres above the river below. Sounds a little less appealing now I'm here. Then it started to hit me. I've been as cool as a cucumber in the build-up, trying to encourage the rest of the crew to get involved, but to no avail. Only now, standing on the platform, did it really sink in what was about to happen. Sure, 10 years ago it was fine, but now I'm starting to doubt myself.
Played cool trick, played cool.
Watching Casey coolly drop off was certainly entertaining, and he very much took it in his stride. Well played, sir.
1 hour 2 done.
Thank God at this point I wasn't aware of the one chord failure that had happened here a few years earlier, otherwise I may have seriously reconsidered my decision. That day the young Australian lady landed in the river below and lived to tell her remarkable tale of survival. But here we are, and if I'm going to claim Zambia as a country visited, I don't think wandering over the border for a beer would suffice. Throwing myself 111 metres off a bridge, however, I'm claiming it. So, here goes.
We are good to go, Martin.
Okay.
Now get your toes over the edge, buddy.
So I'm getting over, and then you're going to count me down, 5, 4,
down,
and then you're just going to push me, and I'm going to dive.
You're going to dive.
I'm going to dive.
Yeah. You're going to dive, buddy.
What the
Get
fuck?
your toes over. A little bit more. Do you want to give him a wave before you go?
I'm shitting myself, I'm not going to lie.
Thumbs up. So you hurry up strong.
Yeah.
Get ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5.
swear to God, I'm done going under the bridge.
Oi!
Enjoy a bit now, Marty. Enjoy a bit. Enjoy a bit. Enjoy a bit. Enjoy a bit. Oh my God. Ah. What the fuck are we doing in life, eh? What is it all about? Oh my God.
I can't lie. At no point of that was I enjoying the experience. Questioning my life decisions while swinging and bouncing upside down. Listening to the chuckles of the locals up above me and the millions of cubic meters of water flowing below me in one of Africa's great rivers. That was thoroughly unpleasant. Would I do one again? Bloody hell no. Well, maybe. Try me again in 10 years.
We made it,
We made it, buddy.
horrible.
What an experience. What a day. Celebrated with the purchase of the Zimbabwean national jersey and a few beers back at the hostel. We passed an eventful night with some locals and all was going great till our newfound pal had a few too many. It seemed from his mate's reaction that this wasn't the first time that his falling off the chair act was considered the signal to end the evening. Africa, the continent that keeps on giving. Morning came and of course time for the next mission. And why not a new country as well? The Kaza visa allows entry into Botswana for up to 24 hours, and with some of the most epic safaris in Africa, it was the perfect way to spend the day. We met up with our new group for the day and headed into country number 65, led by TT, our enthusiastic guide and driver. 2 hours later and we were sat there watching wild elephants and giraffes. I had prime spot chilling on the back of the open-sided truck, and it was nice to get two of the big ones ticked off early before heading to the water for the afternoon. Crocodiles were easily spotted, and again it was reiterated just how lethal the hippos were and that we wouldn't be getting too close. A fulfilling yet tranquil day, but the fun wasn't over yet. As the main group headed home, myself and Casey, along with a lovely Kiwi couple, decided to extend our stay with a bit of overnight camping. The safari was done, but we were a long way from camp. We stocked up on a couple of beers for the evening, and it was a truly bloody wonderful feeling driving through the park with the wind flowing through the remainder of my hair. Sun setting gently over the trees with a can of Castle Light in hand. What more could you want? As we cruised along the roads, we had our eyes peeled, knowing we could see one of a plethora of wild animals pop out at any point. One of those moments that you really appreciate life. Not a single care in the world. TT was constantly pulling over or slowing down if we saw anything worthwhile, and at one stop mentioned how dangerous it was to do a self-drive safari if you didn't know what you were doing, and that an elephant could flip a truck with no effort at all if they felt threatened. Cheers for the tip, pal. More than ever, I was rather grateful to be in his capable hands. Not even 5 minutes later, we saw some activity ahead and slowed down as there was probably about 10 elephants strolling around either side of the road. Another magical moment as we had animals of all ages acting playfully.
This is where you'd panic on a self-drive.
Just as we were relaxing and enjoying the intimate moment, a car sped past at ridiculous speed without a care in the world. This seemed to startle the elephants, and the vibe took on a slightly more sinister feel. If TT hadn't given that little tidbit a few minutes earlier, I think I'd have been quite chilled, but these were wild animals, and rather powerful ones at that. You'd quickly move from playful to pissed off, but TT knows what he's doing, right? Still, I'm quite happy to move on. As one of the younger ones edged slightly towards us, the engine quickly turned on and the tyres screech suggested we may have outstayed our welcome. As we sped off, a couple of the bigger ones gave us a not-so-polite send-off. I can't lie, my heart was racing. Another close encounter. One stall from TT, and who knows what happens next. Thankfully, all went smoothly, and before long we were sat having dinner awaiting the bonus night safari. TT gave it his best shot. The hope was to head out and find lions, out in the middle of nowhere with wild animals all around. In the quiet after switching off the engine, it was just the moon and the stars lighting the night. Beautiful. Feelings were tense and dramatic as we cracked on, kept searching. Knowing any animal could appear in an instant kept the heart rate raised. TT spent a couple of hours flying around in the darkness, and although satisfying and intimidating in equal measure, a herd of buffaloes were the main sighting. Still very cool, but by this time of night, with limited action, the adrenaline was wearing off. However, I did set a personal best for the most awkward place to fall asleep as I was bouncing around on the back of the truck. Not for the first time on this trip, what a bloody wonderful day. A bright and early start and a visit to the less than appealing bathrooms, but you get what you can out here, and running water was sufficient for me. TT woke with a sense of determination. He was driving off-road into spots that had never seen a vehicle before, following even the briefest hint of lion tracks. That was his morning mission.
Bad news, TT.
Sometimes in life, you know, it just ain't your day. Back in the main park we hit a snag. A puncture. A quick check of the locality and we jumped out to let TT do his stuff. That wasn't the end of the world, but we saw another truck stop 200 metres or so up the road. Then another. Turns out they were watching a small pride of lions and we were helpless to get over. Ah well, the best games in life are the ones where you don't always win. It makes the reward all the more sweeter when you do. But, alas, not today. We had the thrill of the chase, but no joy. We gave up the ghost despite our best efforts and headed back to the border. Now, we kinda knew we'd overstayed our free entry into Botswana by staying overnight, but we were quietly hoping it would all somehow work out, especially in the most corrupt region of the world. We were hoping a little wink and $10 would do the trick, but given I'm too shy to ask for a refund on a dodgy pint back home, asking the wrong man for a bribe wasn't something I was about to attempt now. After several, "Are you sure? Do we really have to get another visa?" We handed over the $50 for a new entry visa to Zambia and Zimbabwe, and we were sent on our way. In reality, I'm glad it worked that way. We were just bitter paying $50 for half a day in a country. Back to my private tent for the night and more torrential rain and electricity blackouts. Africa, always bringing the cool vibes.
Stopped already.
Where's that menu gone? Any near-death experiences we can try today, Case? Against my better judgment, we decided we'd take on the rapids of the Zambezi. I'm an incredibly poor swimmer. I can't even bloody float, for God's sake, but we're here now and it's another experience, so it'd be rude not to. Our last river outing together in Colombia almost resulted in the death of our good friend Nidzi. He was stuck in a whirlpool and needed a last-ditch attempt from Colombia's finest kayaker to rescue him. We had a good bunch on our boat and as always an enthusiastic captain. There was a relaxing calm and peace as we set off from under the bridge, giving us a new perspective of the bungee experience, while the captain made jokes about crocodiles in the water to add an element of comedy to the trip. And off we went. The first few rapids were harmless enough and I remembered why so many people actually enjoyed this hobby. In between rapids it returned to the peaceful tranquility of a drifting river, taking in the awesome sights of the steep cliffs all around us. Worth the entrance fee alone. Look! Oh, for fuck's sake. He wasn't joking about the crocodiles. He pointed one out on the bank just meters from the river, waiting for his next tourist snack. What are you gonna do? We're here now. We still fancied our chances and got stuck in, and I can't lie, it was great fun. Working as a team, giving it your best to try and push the boat through the rapids. Not actually knowing if we were making any difference, but we gave it our best shot and big cheers followed the completion of every section. Before every new rapid, the captain gave us a bit of a brief. Its novelty name, the direction we needed to head, and the likelihood of flipping. Next up, the washing machine. 50-50. We headed straight for it, gave it our best shot and bounced through the first few waves and then whoosh! Over we went. The boat flew up in the air and there was no way we were staying in. As much as you know it's part of the risk, there's nothing that prepares you for that terrifying feeling of being completely disorientated. 10,000 cubic meters a second of water rushing violently over you, with the sheer intensity of the river crashing in your ears. Squeezed up like a ball, hoping that you're not upside down, praying that in the next couple of seconds your life jacket is going to do its job and pop you out for that breath of fresh air that you so desperately desire. And finally, I felt like forever could only be in a handful of seconds, but I popped up and took that thankful deep breath, only for the mouth to be filled with the next wave of water. This time my luck was in. No more than 2 meters in front of me was the upturned boat with one of our team on the top. How the hell did he get back up there so quickly? Absolutely no idea, but I was thanking my lucky stars that he was. I stuck out my oar and he dragged me aboard. Casey was next to be retrieved and we briefly embraced after surviving another epic moment. We both sat atop the boat and turned our attentions to the shouts of desperation and tried to assist where we could. The kayaks were beavering around and did their best to save the stranded souls, and before long we were all safe and sound. Once back aboard and ready to rock and roll, there was one lady who was not so keen to continue. She was in her 50s and had drifted quite far from the boat before being rescued. I've been there before, love, and I know it's thoroughly unpleasant, and that was without the fear of having my legs bitten off. We didn't have much choice though, so off we went and completed the remaining rapids safely before a huge hike back up the cliff face. There we enjoyed a well-deserved freshly cooked barbecue and a couple of beers, regaled our tales of near death and swapped numbers with our newfound comrades. They joined us later that evening for a local dinner where I treated myself to a couple of strawberry daiquiris to round off another adrenaline-filled day. By now we'd pretty much ticked off all the things we'd like to do off the tourist menu, so we had to get a bit more creative with our final day. Little did we know it was going to be our most dangerous activity yet. Myself and Case were very much part-time golfers and had the pleasure of playing in Tanzania and more recently in Rwanda. So why not see if there's a course around here? A quick Google search and up popped Elephant Hills Golf Course. Charming name. Let's do it. A taxi to the course and we arrived to an empty car park and a collection of about 15 local caddies waiting for the next golfers. Feeling a little antisocial after a busy few days, we turned down their offers and headed to the first tee. Now feeling a little guilty, we ended up asking one of the guys to join us. Enoch was our man, and thank God he was. Hole 1. Who's that fella over there with the gun, Enoch? Ah, he's anti-poaching us. There's always a risk they'll come here and kill the elephants and hippos.
Can't say I've ever played on a golf course with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 baboons roaming across. Thankfully I've got no food in the bag. I'm not gonna lie, if Enoch wasn't here, our local caddy, I'd be shitting myself. I'm a little bit anyway, but...
Halfway down the second hole, we encountered a ridiculous amount of baboons. Now, I'm no David Attenborough, but my understanding is that these fellas could rip your face off if they so desired. Without Enoch, I was 1,000,000% turning around and going home. But he reassured us there would be no issues, so we cracked on.
Here we are, Casey playing his second shot on Elephant Walk.
Deep breaths. Just hit it cleanly, Mark. Get it over them and we could just crack on.
Didn't see where that went.
No chance. When you don't want to top it, what's the one thing you're going to do? My shot dribbled slowly into the middle of the group. In fairness, one of the babies picked it up and gave me another 10 yards, so it wasn't all bad. I gritted my teeth and strolled over, slightly disturbed by the shrieking heckles as the baboons scrapped with each other and swung around the trees.
Okay, we gotta chase. There's my ball.
Yeah,
How are you feeling, Case?
I'm pretty good, I guess.
Thank fuck Enoch's here, is all I can say.
However, Enoch was right. For all my concerns, they were happy enough and entertained themselves as we passed through. Hole 3.
At the top of the water.
A water hazard right in front of the tee.
In the water.
Now, on any normal day playing golf, this was sufficiently intimidating for me. But the little sign of "Beware crocodiles" was a twist I'd never seen before. But surely you don't ever see them though, right, Enoch?
That's the least of his worries.
Of course we do. This is Africa. Hole 4, water bucks. Hole 5, warthogs. Hole 6, impalas. You get the picture.
The impalas have obviously seen Casey play before, so they know the safest place is in the middle of the fairway.
This wasn't just a round of golf. This was safari golf. This was by far the most insane round of golf I'd ever been on, and it was only the 7th hole.
Stay in the...
Unbelievable. Surely that's as dramatic as it's going to get.
The boys have scarpered.
That hole brought another lake, and this time no sign required. It was presumed by now we understood the dangers.
He's on the move, Mark.
And there it was. Thanking our lucky stars it was on the other side of the lake, but still close enough to get the heart racing.
Oh, he's like
I was used to squirrels and magpies back home, and now I'm doing my best to avoid bloody crocodiles. What the hell's going on here? We took a well-deserved break at the midway point and had a nice opportunity to get to know a bit more about Enoch over a drink and a sandwich. He told us about the travails of the lack of rain and how the extended dry season had really affected the crops and everyone's ability to fend for themselves. Add to that the typical complaints about a corrupt government and a struggling economy, it really didn't paint a bright picture for everyday Zimbabweans. This was highlighted in and around town where countless hawkers would pester you trying to sell all sorts of bric-a-brac, including animal ornaments, but more uniquely the world-famous 100 trillion Zimbabwean dollar note. Back from 2009 when hyperinflation was destroying the economy and the price of a loaf of bread changed while you were in the queue at the shop. No great surprise they abandoned the Zim dollar shortly after. This has, however, been introduced, but in the main it's still the US dollar that's used today. In our few days there, we only transacted this way and it was impossible to get local cash from ATMs. The persistence of these fellas again highlight the struggles. In Rwanda and Uganda you were rarely bothered and a quick no was more than enough for them. But here the continued pursuit emphasised their desperation. The round proceeded with relative tranquility. Still plenty of animals, but a lot less action. That was until I'd hit a lovely shot onto the green. Only to see a couple of baboons messing about up there.
There's Casey's ball.
Of course, one took my ball and ran off with it. Great.
Oh, one in the bunker.
This I kind of expected, but I was taken aback when one of them grabbed the flag and headed for the trees. Enoch let out a sigh as if to say, "Oh, not this again." He shot after them, but he has his limits. The baboon darted up the tree, but this didn't stop Enoch. His persistence paid off, and after a bit of shouting, the flag fell from the tree and we were able to crack on. Needless to say, I still three-putted and missed the par. How is this not on the tourist menu? This was a completely unexpected treat of close-up encounters with all sorts of exotic animals, sport and a bonus safari. Who knew a round of golf could bring so much adrenaline? On our return, we implored the owner to make more effort to advertise this. During the whole 4 hours, we probably saw more than 100 animals, but not another single golfer on the course. With so many caddies looking for work in a struggling economy and 2 million tourists a year, this should be one of the highlights of any trip to this part of the world. That evening, we planned to just chill out. That was until Casey's hotel owner said he was off out for a game drive. Bloody wonderful. The trip that keeps on giving. Simon loaded up the cool box with beers and we set off into the Zambezi National Park on another voyage of discovery. Again, just another cracking evening. At the very worst, we've got a beer in hand driving through serene nature, hearing incredible stories from a couple who have lived an adventure out here for the last 30 years. At best, we'll enjoy all that with another intimate experience with wildlife on top. Of course, still no lions, but we headed to a viewpoint that can even be used for overnight camping. The kind of awesome off-the-beaten-track experience we would have loved to have tried had we had more time. But for tonight, it was just a relaxed chill with a beer while we looked out over the savannah. We saw a few elephants disappear into the trees just as we arrived and thought we'd missed a beautiful moment. But there was a watering hole just in front of us, and shortly after, a different family of about 10 elephants wandered over. Such a lovely, peaceful moment as we observed them from a distance. For one brief moment they were startled and collectively stopped to decide if we were a danger. But they assessed the risk and correctly decided that they could take us down if it came to it, and proceeded to get their fix of water for the day. And finally, that was that. I've been around a bit, but a couple of weeks alone in Egypt and Uganda, followed by 10 days with one of my best friends living some incredible adventures, there was no doubt this was up there with one of my best ever trips. Gorillas before this in Rwanda. Helicopter flights, bungee jumping, whitewater rafting, safari. Quite a few times where I genuinely thought my life was in danger. From what I hear, that's nothing compared to what's up next. My quickest route home will take me via a couple of days in Johannesburg. By all accounts, 2 days there will be more of a threat to my life than anything else. Come and join me.